In the ancient land of yore, a man named Abram looked up at the vast, star-dusted canopy of the night sky. He was old, and his wife Sarai was past the age of childbearing. They had wealth, they had status, but the one thing they yearned for, a child to carry on their name, seemed an impossible dream. It was in this quiet moment of longing that a voice, resonant and divine, broke the silence. It was God, making a promise that would echo through eternity. He told Abram to look at the stars, countless and shimmering. So shall your offspring be, God promised. A covenant was made. Abram, whose name would become Abraham, meaning father of many, believed. He placed his faith in this incredible promise, even when logic and time were against him. Years melted into decades. Abraham and Sarah, as they were now known, grew older still. The promise seemed to fade with each passing season. Sarah, in her desperation, even tried to fulfill the prophecy through her handmaiden, Hagar, which led to the birth of Ishmael and a household filled with strife. It was a human attempt to solve a divine mystery, a reminder that God's timing is not our own. Yet, through all the waiting, the doubt, and the heartache, a flicker of faith remained. Then, when Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah 90, the impossible happened. Laughter filled their tents. The laughter of disbelief turned into pure, unadulterated joy. Sarah gave birth to a son, and they named him Isaac, which means, he laughs. He was the child of the promise, a living, breathing miracle, a testament to God's faithfulness. The years with Isaac were filled with the profound happiness Abraham had never known. Every day was a gift. He watched his son grow from a baby into a bright, strong young man. Isaac was the center of his world, the fulfillment of everything he had ever hoped for. The covenant was secure. The future of his lineage was walking beside him. It was a time of peace, of contentment, of a promise realized. But faith is not a destination. It's a journey, and the most challenging path was yet to come. The joy was a prelude to the ultimate test, a trial that would stretch Abraham's faith to its absolute limit, a moment that would define him forever. Then, the voice of God came to him again. But this time, the words were not of comfort or promise. They were a command so staggering, so heart-wrenching, it seemed to defy everything Abraham knew about the God he loved and trusted. Take your son, God said, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain, I will show you. Imagine the silence that followed. The air must have grown thick, heavy with the weight of this command. Isaac, his beloved son, the child of the promise, the very symbol of God's faithfulness, to be sacrificed by his own hand? Every fiber of Abraham's being must have screamed in protest. How could the giver of life demand such a death? How could the God of the covenant ask him to destroy the very vessel of that covenant? It was a test of faith beyond all human comprehension. Early the next morning, before the sun had even touched the horizon, Abraham rose. There was no hesitation recorded, no argument, only a quiet, resolute obedience that is almost impossible for us to fathom. He cut the wood for the offering, saddled his donkey, and called for two of his servants. And he called for Isaac. Can you picture that moment? The young boy, unaware of the journey's true purpose, eagerly joining his father for what he likely thought was a special act of worship. Together, the small party set out toward the distant land of Moriah. For 3 days, they traveled. 3 days of walking under the hot sun. 3 nights under the cold stars. 3 days for Abraham to live with the crushing weight of God's command. Every step must have been an agony. Every glance at his son, every shared word, must have been a fresh wound to his heart. The landscape itself, rugged and unforgiving, seemed to mirror the turmoil in his soul. As they journeyed, the imposing silhouette of Mount Moriah grew larger on the horizon. It stood there, silent and waiting, the designated place of sacrifice. Upon reaching the foot of the mountain, Abraham turned to his servants. "Stay here with the donkey," he told them, "while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you. We will come back to you." Did he believe it? Was it a statement of pure faith, a conviction that God would provide a way, or was it a father's attempt to shield his son and servants from the horrifying truth? We can only wonder. He then placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As they began the slow, arduous climb up the mountain, just the two of them, father and son, Isaac spoke. His innocent voice cut through the tense silence. "Father, yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said. "But where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" The question hung in the air, a simple, logical inquiry that held the entire weight of the moment. It was the question Abraham must have been dreading. How does a father answer that? He looked at his son, the child he loved more than life itself, and with a voice that must have been thick with emotion yet steady with faith, he replied, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And so, they continued on together, climbing toward the summit, toward the altar, toward the ultimate test of faith and obedience. At the peak of Moriah, with the world stretching out beneath them, Abraham built an altar of stones. Methodically, he arranged the wood upon it. The finality of each action must have been deafening. Then came the moment that defies imagination. He turned to Isaac. The Bible doesn't record their words, only the action. He bound his beloved son. Imagine Isaac's confusion turning to fear as his own father tied his hands and feet. Abraham then lifted his son, the child of the promise, and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. The stage was set. The sacrifice was ready. Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife. He raised it high, its blade glinting in the sun, poised to strike. In that single, suspended moment, all of heaven and earth held its breath. Faith, love, and obedience converged in one terrible, beautiful, and silent act of surrender. Just as his arm began its descent, a voice thundered from the heavens. "Abraham, Abraham!" It was the angel of the Lord. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he commanded. "Do not do anything to him. Now know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham's arm fell to his side, the knife clattering against the stones. Relief, so profound, it must have felt like being reborn, washed over him. He unbound Isaac, pulling him into an embrace that must have contained a lifetime of fear and love. And at that very moment, Abraham looked up and saw it. There, in a thicket nearby, was a ram, its horns caught in the tangled branches. God had provided. Just as Abraham had declared to Isaac, God himself had provided the lamb. Abraham took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering on the altar he had built, a substitute for his son. And Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." To this day, it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." The angel of the Lord called out to Abraham from heaven a second time. The test was over, the faith was proven, and now came the confirmation of the blessing, amplified and secured by his incredible act of obedience. "I swear by myself," declares the Lord, "that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me." The covenant was not just reaffirmed, it was sealed with an unbreakable oath, forged in the fire of ultimate trial. The promise was now an eternal legacy. With the weight of the world lifted from their shoulders, Abraham and Isaac descended the mountain together. The journey down was surely different from the climb up. The silence was no longer one of tension and dread, but one of awe and profound understanding. They had gone up the mountain as a father and a son facing an incomprehensible command. They came down as a testament to radical faith and divine provision. This story, etched into the heart of history, isn't just about a father and a son. It's a powerful illustration of what it means to trust God completely, even when the path is shrouded in darkness, even when his requests seem to defy reason. It's a story that reminds us that in our moments of greatest trial, when we feel we are asked to sacrifice our most cherished hopes, God sees our faith, and he will always provide. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the depths of faith and history.